Rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 1229.
Try to create something that was inviting and to really focus around events where people could share a good time.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hello, automotive enthusiasts. I'm revved up and so excited to introduce today's very special guest, calling in from just a little north of me, Seattle, Washington, Mauricio Bendana. Mauricio, are you buckled up and ready for a fun ride?
I'm just on my fifth click right now.
Very cool, very cool. Mauricio Bendana is the co-founder of Pedal Posse and SoDo Speed. Pedal Posse is a growing community of camaraderie-based automotive enthusiasts who share good times and great adventures with like-minded people. Sounds like me. He's also the managing partner and co-founder of Project Planning Partners, a commercial real estate consulting firm that specializes in corporate services and foundational planning in the greater Puget Sound region. He has over 25 years of experience in headquarter and portfolio management within the commercial real estate space, and Mauricio shares his automotive passion with his wife, Jody, a winemaker and a Porshefile, and their two minions and a dog. They are avid classic Porsche fanatics who enjoy driving and hosting shows, tours, and builds. Pedal Posse debuted their first build at the Rennsport Reunion last summer at Laguna Seca. All right, Mauricio, I've told our listeners just a little bit about you. Take a moment and share a little bit more about your life, your business, and of course, your passion for automobiles.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Mark, for having me on. I've been looking forward to this. So far, it's been great.
You're welcome.
It's always great to meet people from the local community and the broader community, and that just brings a smile. So
yep.
A little bit about myself. As I mentioned, I've been in the consulting business now for about 25 years. It was a big move for me in that was the point where I decided to basically branch off on my own and work for myself. And it's been great since then. It's allowed me to participate more in passion-based projects, such as, Pedal Posse, SoDo Speed, as well as several other automotive-based endeavors.
Very cool. Well, we're going to learn a lot more about these endeavors in a moment. But first, I would like to start with a success quote from you, or a mantra, some kind of saying that has meaning for you. It's a nice way to get the inspirational tires spinning here on Cars Yeah. So, Mauricio, take the wheel.
Sure. I think one of the things that's really stood out for me over the years and in a personal and professional life is the concept of really being community-based. I think, as you mentioned earlier, Pedal Posse was really a brainstorm of what can we do out there that's a little bit different than what we've seen so far. And that's really kind of bringing together the community. This is something that's important to me. And it's the idea that it's better to be inclusive versus exclusive. And I think that's something that stuck to me over the years. It's that classic thing of, sometimes you learn what to do and sometimes you learn what not to do. And always going back to that has been pretty successful for me in all endeavors. So I think that's probably the one thing that's really resonated. It's helped us build a community of friends and family. It's helped us build a community of automotive enthusiasts who we consider to be an extended family, and it's probably brought people like you and I together as well. So that's something that's very, very important to me.
One thing I've learned after talking with so many people and being in the automotive world and hobby for a long, long time is this is a unique group of people in many ways, and that is, it doesn't really matter what kind of car you like. If you just like cars, you have an instant camaraderie, an instant bond, an instant friend. And even in the business world, I've noticed that even competitors help each other out. They reach out to each other. It's kind of like going to the racetrack and you break apart in your car and you get on your bike and pedal around the paddock and someone, hey, I need a bolt this big. Anybody have one? And yeah, they'll toss you one so you can get back on the track and have some fun. So I think that's one of the great things about the automotive world indeed. Well, I would love for you to share a story that instigated your personal passion for cars. Kind of delve back into your history here and tell us about a pivotal moment in your life when you knew that you were indeed a car guy.
One of the things that really stood out to me was many moons ago, many gray hairs ago, my uncle gave me a little Corgi set that had a 911 in it. And ever since then, I've always been passionate about Porsches and, European cars and pretty much anything in general. That really kind of motivated me to get more involved and more exposed to anything that had to do with cars. My father grew up with Volkswagens, and that was really my first step into Porsches. I used to wrench on Volkswagens. I used to try to hot rod Volkswagens. I spent a lot of time with close friends in high school fixing cars up. And the first major, I think, how do I put it? The first big step in my automotive journey, I would say, was when I was in college. A good buddy of mine got accepted to Stanford, and we decided to take a little road trip down there in my 74 Beetle, which happened to break down enough times that the one-way trip from Seattle to Palo Alto took 28 hours straight. But
oh my gosh.
We had a blast.
Yeah.
And more importantly, we made it back. I think that was really kind of the first time. And going back to that sense of community, everything that could have happened did happen on that trip. It leaked oil, the motor broke down, the luggage came off the roof rack. We had too many people in the car, but you know what? We had a blast. And everybody that's in that car is still very close friends till this day.
Very cool. I love that. Great story. Corgis. Yeah, I remember those. My history with my age goes back to Hot Wheels, but I remember I had in fact, I still have it. I had a Corgi diecast model. They came in the boxes, kind of like those Matchbox cars did. I had a Porsche Carrera 6, which I just thought was the coolest thing, a little race car, and a Speedster. It was kind of an ivory color. I have to dig it out of the box to find it now. But yeah, Corgis were cool. Kind of the precursor to the Matchbox and then, of course, the Hot Wheels. But very nice indeed. Well, let's take a look at some of the roads you've driven down and talk about a big challenge or a big failure you faced along the way. And I like this question, not so much that I'm making you drum up some history that maybe wasn't so great, but it's more about what did that situation teach you? So hopefully somebody out there listening that might be going through the same thing could learn that there is a light at the end of the tunnel here. So walk us through one of those stories, would you?
Sure. About 4 years ago, we actually had someone in the family that got very sick. It was a life-changing event, not just for her, but I think for all of us. And I think at that moment in time, you really you take a step back and you, for lack of a better term, you really tend to reprioritize what's important in your life. It was a rough couple of years, and thankfully she's okay and doing well. But I think the important thing back then is that, when somebody very close to you is very ill, and it teaches you a lot about yourself. It's very hard that you have to be supportive. You have to be very humble. You have to be everything that you can possibly be at your best to help that person get through probably the worst thing that's ever happened in their life. At the same time, it also teaches you that you have to do the same for yourself. You have to be strong in order to be strong for somebody else, and you have to put aside your pride and reach out and get help where you need it. I think that's probably the one thing that has really taught me that it is so important to have close, people in your life that you can essentially treat like an extended family, and also never be afraid to reach out. There's so many people that are there that you probably didn't realize would do anything to help in a tough situation. So I think that was a big one, and there's many of us out there. And I think that we unfortunately live in a time where a lot of people are getting sick and there's a lot of bad things happening. And, all we can do is be there for one another and help us get through that.
The key thing I heard out of that whole situation, and first and foremost, I'm sorry you had to go through that, but you're right. I've been through the same things many, many times with family members is what you said. And for guys, it seems to be an issue sometimes, and that is asking for help. I think sometimes as men, we feel like we need to be the one to protect and care for, and we don't need help because we can do it ourselves. And it's not a healthy thing at all to keep all that within. It really is important to reach out, call people, talk to people. And what I found when I've gone through those situations is all you have to do is ask, and people will do all sorts of things for you that you never imagined. And you also learn who your really true friends are at those times too, because those people will drop everything and bring a meal, come over and help with cleaning, help with driving people to the doctors, whatever it might be. But the key thing I heard you say, and that's so important, is don't be afraid to ask for help, right?
Absolutely. And one of the things that we know about in the Pacific Northwest, we talk about the Seattle freeze. And I cannot stress enough how important it is for people to just say hi. Don't be afraid to talk to somebody. Don't be afraid to reach out to somebody. You will be pleasantly shocked with the response.
Yeah, exactly. It reminds me, my grandfather was a farmer in Texas, a little town in Texas, and he rarely left the farm. I grew up in Southern California, and he came to visit once. And it was a really rare big deal for him to come and visit. And I remember walking down the street. We were in San Diego. I grew up just north of San Diego, but we were downtown. And he was saying hello to everybody. And some of these people were looking at him like, what the hell? I don't know you, And my grandfather said, boy, people aren't very friendly here. And, he came from a little town where you said hello to everybody. You smiled. And you see that. Like you go in to get a coffee and the person is barely paying attention to the other person they're handing their money to. They're on the phone or they're chatting.
Right.
They don't take a moment to look somebody in the eye and say, hello, how are you today? Or say their name because it's right there on their lapel pin. Just be polite. And I know a lot of people do. I try to make an extra effort no matter what, whether I'm going through a airport checkout or whatever. It's just to look someone in the eye and smile at them and ask them how their day's going. And it makes such a world of difference, especially with the TSA when you go through the airport. Their whole demeanor changes with you. It's really delightful. Yeah. Just treat them like you want to be treated.
Think of all the places that you travel thousands and thousands of miles to go and relax, and you get in that mood of saying hello and all that fun stuff. Just, bring that island lifestyle back. Everybody could use a little cheer.
Island lifestyles. I sit here up here in the Pacific Northwest, and my front yard is covered in snow, which is very rare for us here. So it's kind of a weird day. The sun's out though, so it's very beautiful, but it's a little chilly outside. But I'm not going to complain after what the back east went through a couple weeks ago. So
that's true. Very true.
They're just laughing at us right now. Well, let's have a little bit of fun and talk about your first really special vehicle. First car you got that had great meaning for you, and maybe share a memory you have about that ride.
Sure. So I think the very first special car that I got was a 1964 Beetle, who is affectionately named Dolores.
Dolores.
Dolores. And I'll tell you that story. My favorite stories are where somehow these cars tend to connect people, just as, you were mentioning that earlier. Dolores was a friend of mine's car when you were in college, who at the time was dating somebody that was an hour and a half commute away. His car broke down. He said, hey, what should I get? I said, get a Beetle. They're good. So he found Dolores over in Idaho. Old 64 Beetle, had about 100,000 miles on it. And the name Dolores came because he had a crush on the lead singer of a band called the Cranberries, and the car was cranberry colored. So needless to say, he drove that car for about 8 months, got a job overseas, and I became the custodian of Dolores for almost the next 15 years. That was the best car. I had so much fun in that car. I drove it through college. I drove it, when I had my first real job. And then I ended up handing the keys to another young gentleman in town who did the same. But the great thing about that little car was, by the time I got done with it, I think I had almost half a million miles on it. Never let me down. Had some fun adventures. I met a lot of interesting people along the way, beginning with the owner who gave it to me. And then I ended up giving it to another young gentleman who I still stay in touch with. And I don't know, I think that for me was kind of the first time that I started to realize that in reality, we truly are only custodians. These cars live these amazing adventures through all the different homes that they share over their lifetime. So that was a big one for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Dolores I never say her last name, O'Riordan. We lost her last year. She died at a tragically young age, 46 years old. Great song, Zombie, of course. The Cranberries. Yeah. Great band, great singer. So sad to lose her at that age, but great way to name a car. I like the story behind it. And bugs are cool. We had a bug in our family. My sister had one. I had a Carmen Ghia, so I was a little cooler than Sis. Don't tell her that, though.
Yeah.
If you're listening, Sis, don't worry about it. You were cool. But The bugs are always great. Easy to work on, fun cars. How about seller's remorse? Is there a vehicle you've owned, you've let go that you really wish you had back?
Only one.
I know. I know.
There's been a couple. I think the big one for me was I had a 64 Squareback.
Oh, wow. And that's unique.
Yeah, it was a 64 Squareback. It was Nutria Brown, very rare car. It was in perfect shape. I went through it mechanically, and that was a great car. Another car that I used to drive around. I used to call it the Cadillac of Volkswagens because, it drove like a dream. I sold it, and it ended up in Germany. And I think the only reason I have seller's remorse, kind of going back to the Dolores story, is that's the only one that went away that I still have no idea where it went to.
Yeah.
I had a 72 Marathon Beetle that ended up in New York, and I actually just got a hello from the current owner 2 days ago. And then I had a 92 Carrera 2 Guards Red, who now is under the custodianship of a good friend of mine in San Francisco, who is an amateur photographer as well. So, the hard thing with that is it's the ones that get away that you never hear from. But it's always nice to stay in touch with the ones that, go on to live life with other close friends.
Yeah, it's fun. I had a 993 C4S Porsche for a while, and I sold it to a guy down in California, and always missed having that car. It was just a great car. And my son and I were down in Monterey during Car Week, and we were standing on the corner of Ocean Boulevard and Carmel, and this car drives by, and my son Blake goes, Dad, there's your old Porsche. And I look and I go, yeah, I think it is. It still had the same little sticker, the Nürburgring track sticker on the side window that I put on all my cars kind of as a signature thing. But that Squareback you had, that Nutria Brown, I love that color. It's kind of a gray brown, if I remember right.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I mean, it was in 1964, the Squareback wasn't even available in the U.S. So it was I think it was the second year that the Squareback was out, and it was brown, and it had cloth seats, which at the time were, you had to order them in that material, and everything on the inside was brown. The trunk mats, seats. Now I'm getting all car geeky, but it was such a great car. I mean, it was so easy to drive, so comfortable, so practical.
I had a friend in high school that had one. They were great because we could slide our surfboards in the back, put the seats down, and you could go to the beach. Fun cars. Well, I would love for you to share with our listeners a lot more about what you're doing with Three Pedal Posse. That's how we met through a connection, and also SoDo Speed. So tell us what has you excited about these projects, what they're all about, what you're doing, and if people can learn more about them.
The idea of Three Pedal Posse began about 9 years ago. It ties into another story where, you meet people through cars. My partner in Three Pedal Posse, Jim, had purchased a car from a good friend of ours down in the Bay Area, who invited us to go down to Monterey Car Week with a group of friends. And that group has now been really close friends now for the last 9-10 years. We've been going to Monterey Car Week consistently since then. We all got together, and every time that we did anything that was automotive related, which is how we all met, we just really had a fun and exciting time just hanging out and really kind of sharing that camaraderie. We had great stories to share. We all met our families, each other's families, and it just kept growing and growing and growing. And Jim and I had the discussion of, well, there's something here. Everybody's kind of asking for something that really puts, people first and the cars second. And I know that that's a mantra for a lot of different groups out there, but we really wanted to focus on how do we do that? How do we make it inclusive, not exclusive? And how do we get people to be a part of it that have the same philosophy? So that's how Three Pedal Posse came to be. We worked very hard to try to create something that was inviting and to really focus around events where people could share a good time. Everything from drives, from get-togethers, just hanging out, having a glass of wine, having a beer, whatever it may be, and whether there's a car in the background or not, and sharing some great stories. that's kind of how Three Pedal Posse came to be. I get asked a lot of times, well, what is it exactly? I don't know that we know that yet. I know that we are.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
What is this exactly?
What I can tell you is that it's definitely an enthusiast-based community, but we have one rule, and I apologize. I'm hoping I can say this word, but we just don't want any assholes in the group, and it's that simple. When you have that mantra, number one is, people kind of put their guard down, they put their filters down, and whatever type of vehicle you drive, whatever type of background you have, you're just sharing a good experience with like-minded folks. And sometimes you tend to turn people around that way. If you're inviting, if you say hello, so to speak, you'd be surprised how a lot of people, that's just a great invitation for them to do the same. That's really what our focus is. That's how we're growing. We're really kind of fueled by our supporters out there, and we have a great amount of them. We're very appreciative of them. And every time we do something, they contribute. They have ideas. So we just keep moving forward and keeping it simple that way. We just started doing these breakfast runs where we get together, we share, we break bread and, go for a little drive or go check out somebody's shop. And that's been a great experience recently. SoDo Speed was birthed out of the Three Pedal Posse. As I mentioned, my better half has a winery, so we've been hosting car shows down there. But it's a different experience. It's to call it a car show, I think, is probably not the right descriptor. There happens to be cars there, but you know what? There's food, there's wine, there's activities for kids, there's music, and it's an opportunity for people just to hang out for a couple hours and share some stories, have a glass of wine together, have some food together, listen to some great music, and just share a couple hours out of their day. So we're getting there. And I think, again, as I mentioned, our goal is to really create a community that has that same mantra. They just, be positive, be inviting, don't be exclusive. One thing I would say about Three Pedal Posse is we are not Porsche exclusive. I would say, most of us drive Porsches, but it's not about that. And, don't tell anybody, but even if you don't have 3 pedals, hey, come on and visit us. We'll take you in.
PDK is not so bad.
It's not so bad, right? Especially when you're sitting in traffic. Oh man.
Yeah. Yep. It's Seattle traffic. There's a lot of that up there. That's for sure. So.
I like to call it West Coast traffic because I think whether you're in Seattle, San Francisco, or LA, it's the same thing.
San Diego, same thing. I'm down there often, and it's just the same thing all the time. It's really frustrating. Yeah, it's not much fun. When you have a real nice car that goes fast with a third pedal and you're sitting there just going, oh, gosh, just please move, traffic move. So, well, very cool. Now, is this a group, if there's people up in the Seattle area that want to join up with you, that they can, or how do people learn about what you guys are doing in your events?
The best thing is to follow us on Instagram. So it's the number 3 Pedal Posse. That's our handle. Honestly, that's where we post all our information up. We do have a website where we're in the works of fine-tuning it, but I would say go to Instagram first, and SoDo Speed is linked to that one as well. We don't have a formal join process. The way you join is you show up and you have a good time. So
there you go. Yeah, sounds cool. Awesome. Well, Mauricio, up next is the last lap. But before we put the pedal to the metal, let's say thank you to today's Cars Yeah sponsors. Everyone who knows me knows I'm really picky when it comes to my cars and keeping them looking new. I'm a huge fan of Covercraft floor mats. I've protected my vehicle with their products for decades. Want to keep your vehicle's interior looking new? It's easy with Covercraft floor mats. They will protect your vehicle's factory carpets from daily abuse, weather, pets, children, weekend adventures, and those everyday spills. It's a fast, easy, and stylish way to keep your vehicle looking new. Covercraft floor mats come in a wide variety of styles, materials, and configurations, all designed for maximum protection. In addition to Premier Plush and Berber custom floor mats, you'll also find cargo liners, canine cargo area liners, dash covers, and sunscreens. Enhance your vehicle's looks while protecting the factory finishes with easy-to-install and easy-to-clean floor mats. Covercraft is the right choice. Learn more today at covercraft.com and tell them Mark at Cars Yeah sent you. That's covercraft.com. Are you looking for a way to get your products or services into the ears of thousands of automotive enthusiasts around the globe? I can help. This is Mark Green here at Cars Yeah, and I'd be honored to be an influencer and ambassador for your brand in a unique and personal way. 5 days a week, thousands of subscribers and listeners enjoy the Cars Yeah podcast and website. Contact me today and I'll show you how at mark@carsyeah.com or connect with me through the Cars Yeah website at carsyeah.com. Hey, Mark Green here from the Cars Yeah podcast. Did you know you can now see me on the Cars Yeah TV show? That's right. Cars Yeah is now on MAV TV. I visit some of the past Cars Yeah guests and take you along for the ride. Go to mavtv.com to learn more where you can enjoy Cars Yeah TV. MAV TV is also available on DirecTV, Fubo TV, Fios by Verizon, or you can stream it through mavtv.com online. And they said I only had a face for podcasting. All right, Mauricio, we are back, and I have a very introspective question for you today. If you were a car, if you woke up tomorrow and you'd manifested into a vehicle parked in the garage, what would you be and why?
Ooh, that's a tough one. You know, I think I would probably have to be, I'm a sucker for the short wheelbase 911s, and I think it would have to be an early rally prep 911.
Cool.
Reliable, fun to drive, but you know what? Isn't afraid to have an adventure every once in a while.
There you go. I like it. Very nice. Well, we are entering the last lap, and I'm going to fire off a series of questions and ask you to give our listeners some very quick blips of that Rally 911 throttle. So here we go. What's the best automotive advice you've ever received?
You know, when buying a Porsche, buy the best one that you can afford because it's going to cost you less in the long run.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Any car for that matter. That's
exactly.
For sure. Save up and buy the best you can afford.
Yeah.
Would you share one of your personal habits you believe has contributed to your many successes over the years?
Sure. I think patience and humility is probably the important thing. It's not always an easy thing to have, but, you know, I think I go back to that and I look at people that have had success with that on a professional and personal level. It goes back to that, you know, this common theme that you and I keep discussing about community and outreach and just saying hi to people. But patience and humility is a big one. You know, I think if you have those things like being driven, things like being passionate, things like being, you know, successful will come to you.
There you go. Now, how about a resource? There are awesome resources for us enthusiasts these days. Is there one in particular that you like and that you would share?
Honestly, it's the local community. There's some great resources here. You have Kristen from the LeMay Museum. You have Ashley from Haggerty. You've got Sydney, who's with the PCA Northwest group. I feel that we're a great resource. And when I say resource, it's, you know, these are people that, you know, if you reach out to any of these groups, they know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and they'll get you whatever it is that you need.
Absolutely.
You're a great resource, Mark.
Well, thanks. I try to be, that's for sure. You mentioned Ashley. She's with Haggerty, of course. She was a guest here on Cars Yeah. I think she was my 1,001st guest, right?
Yeah,
whatever that threshold. Great. And Christy's great, known her for years down at LeMay, all the wonderful people at LeMay, and of course the Porsche Club, which I've been a member of since I was a teenager, I think. So, yeah, great resource. Tap into the people that are around you. Get connected with clubs, groups. You can meet some fantastic people, and they can be great help when you run into any car challenges, which eventually you will, I promise you. Now, if I could wave my magic wand and arrange for you to have a drink with anyone in the automotive industry, living or deceased, who would that be?
If I want to have fun and have a good conversation, God, I would have to say James Hunt.
Oh, yeah. Party.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I think he'd be a good network resource. So,
yeah, probably so. For the wrong people, maybe.
Yeah, you know, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, he knew how to live, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, is there a book you've read that you'd like to share with us that you think people would enjoy reading?
You know, there's a lot of great books out there. And honestly, you know, I'm a huge fan of the guys that take a risk and do something different. I think that's something that's wonderful that's happening right now in the automotive community is that we're branching out to people that are just coming out with some amazing things out of their garage. The creativity that's existing out there to the term hot rod, which I think is a very underrated term, is just unbelievable. I think we're at a peak right now. just with the ability to network with people from communication, modern day communication, and then just the resources that we have with technology. I'm a huge fan of Singer's book, the One More Than 10.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great read. It just goes to show that, you know what, if you put your mind to it, if you surround yourself with people that are there to support you, if you have this crazy idea, you know what, go for it. Huge fan. Yeah, I would definitely recommend that book. And I think there's, you read that one and it's a quick starting point to several stories of other books out there that are about the same thing.
Yeah, great book. Rob Dickinson has been a guest on the show twice now. And I'm sitting here actually looking at my coffee table, and that book is sitting right there. Love that book. It's a great book. And I'll make sure I put a link to that book and all the great resources that Mauricio has shared on his very own show notes page on the Cars Yeah website. Just go to carsyeah.com, type in Mauricio Bendana, Bendana, and that page will pop right up. And yeah, if you love Porsches, you love what Rob Dickinson is doing with Singer, oh man, dream car for me. That is a cool book to look at. Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're up to the checkered flag here, Mauricio. And this last question can be a bit of a doozy. I'm going to buy you any cool car today. Doesn't matter where it is, who it belongs to. Even if you want me to order a Singer for you, we can do that too. But there's a couple rules to this game. One is you can't sell it to buy a bunch of other cars with. That trick's off the table. The other is it's the only collector car you can have in your garage, so choose very wisely. And the last little thing here is that you have to drive it. No garage queens allowed here at Cars Yeah. I want you to take the car out and enjoy it. So what can I buy you?
Oh, that's an easy one for me. It'd be the number 4 prototype 911R, 1968. The yellow one that was sitting out at Luft, and Canepa did the work on it.
Oh my. Yeah, you pick the right cars, don't you? Yeah, absolutely.
Love that car.
Yeah, very, very cool. Well, interesting you mentioned Bruce Canepa, because when we're done with this interview today, I drive up to the airport, get on a plane, and fly down to Bruce's shop. I'm going to spend a day down there shooting an episode of Cars Yeah TV with Bruce and Zach Todd and his team down there. I can't wait to get there. So maybe that car is sitting there. Maybe he'll let me take it for a drive. I can send you some pictures.
Right? I hope so. I think that'd be cool. Great, And if he's going to let you take it out for a drive, let me know and I'll come meet you.
Well, no, I'm just going to drive it back up north and deliver it to your garage. That's the car you want. So I might have to put some test miles on it, but don't worry. When I get it there, I'll clean it up for you. I'm good at that. So,
good.
Nice choice. Well, Mauricio, you've taken me on a great ride today. I've really enjoyed getting to know you better. I want to thank you for sharing your automotive journey and adventures with us. Could you offer us a little parting piece of wisdom or guidance before you rip off into the Pacific Northwest forest in that number 4 prototype 911R?
Hey, just don't be afraid to say hi and reach out to somebody. If you see a cool car in the parking lot and you want to know who it is, wait for the owner and say hi. You never know who you're going to meet.
You never know. You'll meet some amazing people, that's for sure. And what's the best way, again, for our listeners to follow along with you and what you're doing with 3 Pedal Posse and SoDo Speed?
Sure. It's going to be our Instagram account, which is 3 Pedal Posse.
There you go. Very easy. And is there a way people can reach out to your day job, as we say, Project Planning Partners? Do you have a website?
Yes, projectplanningpartners.com.
There you go. Well, listeners, again, I'll put all those links on Mauricio's show notes page. Mauricio's the only Mauricio, so he'll be easy to find here on Cars Yeah with a very cool, unique name like that. Mauricio, thanks for being so generous today with your time and expertise and for sharing your experiences with me and the listeners. Until you and I talk again, I'll see you down the road.
Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome. You take care of your cars, but who takes care of your investments? Tune-ups aren't just for engines. Updating your financial plan is important too. Your GPS may take you from A to B, but it won't help you on the road to financial freedom. For that, you need a good co-pilot and a very trusted advisor. Chris Kimball, CFP, is just the man for the job. He'll guide you down that road without driving you crazy. For over 25 years, Chris has helped people just like you and me with their financial planning and investments. With a master's degree in financial services, he is eminently qualified, and he's a car guy too. Learn more at chrisvkimball.com or call 866-ON-A-PLAN. Securities through Money Concepts Capital Corp. Member FINRA SIPC. CK Financial Services is not affiliated with Money Concepts Capital Corp.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah.